in a luxurious hotel. A young man who looks like a rich family's son is dressed in designer clothes and eating a meal that costs as much as someone's monthly salary. They seem to be living a beautiful life, but that's only what it looks like on the outside. Because after tonight, the two of them have decided to commit suicide. To be fair, up until yesterday, the young man named Eugene was still living in a cramped apartment, about 6.5 square meters in size, with a monthly rent of 200,000 won. But now, he's relaxing in a lavish place, where one night costs a full 2 million won. Thinking back, last night, Eugene's dinner was just a bowl of rice with dried seaweed. But tonight, he's having the most extravagant meal of his life. Not to mention, he's wearing a super slick outfit. It's true that money isn't everything. But with money, everything changes drastically. Across from him, Jun Hyung looks at the glass of wine in his hand and smiles with amusement. He agrees with what Eugene said. Money is what controls everything in this world, even if you don't want to admit it. The truth is, the more money you have, the better your life is. If you don't have money, you're just a failure, just like the two of them. So why is this happening? It's not like these two won the lottery and got rich overnight. That's nothing but an unrealistic fairy tale. They took out a high-interest loan of 50 million won this morning and have already spent 40 million in half a day. Having money really feels good. Eugene and Jun Hyung haven't even managed to spend the full 50 million in a day, yet they're already this happy. So, for those guys born with a silver spoon, how good must it feel for them? Jun Hyung looked at Eugene as he poured wine and wondered, "But how did you manage to borrow money from those gangsters?" Eugene replied, "I have nothing left to lose. Anyway, we're going to die tonight. I just told them that. I'm currently the owner of a business. The company is in trouble and needs money urgently. I gave them my personal information, and then boom, they gave me the money without a second thought." But thinking back to the scene of facing that gangster boss directly, it was truly terrifying. The more he thought about it, the more unfair society seemed. This morning, Eugene had read a very interesting article. It talked about how young people in their 20s today don't make any effort at all. What a bullshit article. Eugene angrily retorted to that idea. Life isn't a dream. It's not like just making an effort guarantees that the future will be successful. A rich kid trying hard and a poor failure trying hard are two completely different paths. The outcomes are also different. People like Eugene and Jun Hyung, even if they try their hardest for their entire lives, can never compare to the rich. There's no such thing as hard work pays off. The hard work of the poor, like them, is completely worthless. Jun Hyung completely agreed with his friend's opinion. He added, "For hopeless people like us, there's really nowhere left to turn. That's exactly why instead of working hard, trying, and letting everything be for nothing, we invested in cryptocurrency. The thing that could change our lives overnight." Eugene let out a sigh. He wasn't so sure about that cryptocurrency stuff. Isn't it just like high-stakes gambling? Making money this way doesn't seem fair. And besides, this encrypted digital currency isn't even real money. It's basically a small piece of data and doesn't even physically exist. What is its real value? Tens of thousands of dollars per coin. Jun Hyung looked at his friend and gave a faint smile. You know what's funnier? Eugene looked at Jun Hyung with a bit of curiosity. He said, "There's a cryptocurrency created by someone who thinks exactly like you." Jun Hyung searched for something and then held up his phone for Eugene to see. A brand new cryptocurrency exchange called Lotus Coin. Jun Hyung explained, "This crypto exchange was just launched on the market. Since it's new, its value is naturally close to zero." Suddenly, Eugene had a very bold idea. He asked his friend Jun Hyung, "Hey Jun Hyung, you have a crypto investment account, right? Why don't you buy that crypto with all the money we have left? Go on, I'll transfer it to you right now." Jun Hyung was a bit surprised by Eugene's words, because he thought that Eugene wasn't interested in this so-called virtual currency. Eugene sighed and replied, "We're going to die after tonight anyway. To have a little fun, investing in crypto for kicks won't hurt." And so, the two of them decided to invest all the remaining money they had into cryptocurrency. The amount was a full 8.5 million won. The meal was over, but the complaints from Eugene's mouth still hadn't stopped. Those rich kids, I bet none of them have a friend willing to die together for each other like we are, right? A slightly annoyed expression appeared on Jun Hyung's face. He asked Eugene, "Didn't you tell me you couldn't kill yourself because you have a girlfriend?" Or did you break up with a Hyan? Eugene said slowly, clutching his head in sorrow. Can you guess who I hate the most in this world? It's none other than my own parents. I could never understand them, and I never want to. Why did they give birth to me just to abandon me? Because they were poor? And if they were going to abandon me anyway, then why make me endure this miserable poverty? A few days ago, I got a call from a Hyan. She told me she was pregnant. A look of shock was clear on Jun Hyung's face. As Eugene spoke, tears began to fall down his own face. A horrifying expression was clear. I finally understood my parents. I sent her some money to get an abortion. After that, we broke up. Regret began to well up. Eugene felt utterly disgusted with himself. In that moment, Jun Hyung's phone suddenly vibrated a few times. A notification. Jun Hyung's face showed a hint of surprise. He ignored Eugene, crying alone across from him. When the scene changes, Eugene is standing by the pool. He was ready for his death. He turned back and called to Jun Hyung, reminding him, "Hey you, the water is ready. Get the pills and bring the knife too." But Jun Hyung just stood there, motionless, without saying a word. Eugene looked at his friend quizzically and asked, "What are you hesitating for?" Gene called out a few more times. But Jun Hyung still didn't move. On the contrary, the reaction on his face was clearly visible. After a moment, Jun Hyung scratched his head and replied, "I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think I'm ready to die yet." Eugene was stunned to hear Jun Hyung say that. They had both clearly made the decision and had reached the end of the line. Yet at the crucial moment, Jun Hyung changed his mind. He used the excuse that he was too scared and didn't dare to commit suicide with Eugene anymore. After saying that, Jun Hyung turned to leave, ignoring a completely baffled Eugene. Eugene immediately chased after Jun Hyung. To get things straight, he grabbed Jun Hyung's shirt and shouted. In that instant, Jun Hyung was startled and dropped the phone in his hand onto the ground. His face became extremely tense, as if he'd been caught red-handed. Jun Hyung hurriedly scrambled on the ground to pick up his phone, but it was too late. Eugene had seen everything. He couldn't believe his best friend was planning to hide this and take it all for himself. Furious, Eugene repeatedly kicked Jun Hyung mercilessly. Jun Hyung clutched his body in pain. Meanwhile, Eugene slowly picked up the phone. He looked at the screen, not understanding what this chart meant, but he knew one thing. The money he had invested earlier had increased 100-fold in just a few hours. In the moment, Eugene was still dazed by reality. Jun Hyung, as if he'd lost his humanity, lunged forward to snatch the phone from Eugene's hand. The two began to wrestle for the phone. Its value is now around 860 million won, equivalent to approximately $680,000. The struggle wasn't over. A battle between two failures. However, the chubby Jun Hyung was no match for Eugene. Jun Hyung was easily knocked down, muttering curses at Eugene. On the other side, Eugene was furious. He couldn't believe the guy he considered his best friend, who he even asked to die with him, was planning to hoard this enormous sum of money. But Jun Hyung didn't see it that way. It was money that he himself had invested. And simply put, the money was in his account. Therefore, it belonged to him. Hearing this, Eugene cursed straight at him. "Shut your damn mouth. I was the one who risked borrowing money from those gangsters." Jun Hyung sneered and replied, "Yeah, you just borrowed money, just like I borrowed money from you, and used my account to invest. I'll pay you back your principal." Veins started to pop on his forehead. Jun Hyung was still shamelessly trying to take it all, even if it meant being labeled a bastard. Jun Hyung didn't want to waste any more energy on his friend. He didn't care. "If you want to keep that piece of junk phone, keep it. I'll just go buy a new phone, and that'll be that. The money for the phone will be deducted from the principal that I plan to pay back to you, Eugene." As Jun Hyung turned to leave, behind him, Eugene was already holding a chair. He raised it high to give that bastard Jun Hyung a painful blow. A while later, Jun Hyung woke up. He slowly opened his eyes. Jun Hyung realized that he had been tied up by Eugene. Seeing the menacing aura of Eugene in front of him, Jun Hyung began to panic and fear for his fate. He screamed for Eugene to let him go, saying that this was illegal. He held a wine bottle in his hand. Hearing the shitty words of his friend, Eugene couldn't stand it and took the wine bottle, repeatedly smashing it on Jun Hyung's body without mercy. He was incredibly bitter. because he couldn't understand why, with so much money, Jun Hyong would only pay him back the amount he gave him to invest. After a while of beating, the bottle broke and his hand was exhausted. Eugene finally stopped. As for Jun Hyong, after being beaten, his attitude became more compliant. He acted remorseful. "I'm sorry. I was blinded by that large sum of money." Jun Hyong started to cry and confess. "I owe people over 300 million won. I was worried there wouldn't be enough money to both split with you and pay off my debts. I'm truly sorry." One might have thought Eugene would feel compassion for his best friend, but instead he said coldly, "Shut up and show me how to transfer this money to my account. Hurry up." Jun Hyong stubbornly refused to comply, so he was immediately stabbed in the leg with glass shards by Eugene. Eugene's dark, murderous expression was clear. He growled out each word, "Show me how to transfer the money." There was no other choice. Jun Hyong had to show Eugene how to transfer the money to his account. Otherwise, Jun Hyong's life would end right here. He wouldn't be around to enjoy that money anymore. Eugene looked at the amount and the crypto chart. He was completely startled. Unbelievable. Lotus coin was still rising sharply and showed no signs of decreasing. But there was another huge problem that was giving Eugene a headache, and he didn't know how to handle it. That was this bastard friend. Just earlier tonight, the two of them had talked about their loyalty to each other and had even sworn to live and die together. Yet, because of money, they had turned on each other. Eugene sat down in front of Jun Hyong and declared, "The value of that investment has reached 1 billion won. He wasn't a beast, devoid of humanity and greedy." So, Eugene decided he would give Jun Hyong half of the money. Perhaps that was the best way. He left a knife and the phone next to Jun Hyong and warned him not to call the police. After they split the money today, they would go their separate ways and never see each other again. Before he could finish his sentence, suddenly, Jun Hyong had managed to escape his bonds using the glass shards. He lunged, one hand grabbing Eugene's throat, the other holding a shard, ready to stab Eugene and send him to his grave. Luckily, Eugene was stronger than Jun Hyong, so he was able to stop him. Jun Hyong was out of control because he thought that he deserved more than that 500 million. In a critical moment, Eugene managed to grab a wine bottle nearby and smashed it straight into Jun Hyong's face. Once again, Jun Hyong was knocked unconscious. Seeing Jun Hyong motionless, he felt a bit panicked, afraid he might have accidentally committed murder. A billion scenarios started playing out in his head. Should he call an ambulance or not? If he really died, would he have to go to prison? This life is so unfair. He just made a bit of money, and now he might have to eat prison food. Suddenly, Jun Hyong's phone behind him rang with a call. The caller was Jun Hyong's mother. He hesitated, not knowing if he should answer. Fear was still lingering in Eugene's mind, because he knew this guy Jun Hyong well. His mom always worried about him every time he didn't pick up. Then, if his mom senses something is wrong and calls the police, he'd be screwed. In that moment, Eugene didn't know what to do. But eventually, he decided to answer Jun Hyong's mom's call. As soon as he picked up, Jun Hyong's mother's voice came through, asking after him. Eugene answered tactfully, "Oh no, this is Eugene, Jun Hyong's friend." Jun Hyong's mother was quite puzzled as to why Eugene had the phone. "Where's my son now?" Eugene's mind raced as he replied, "Yes, Jun Hyong and I went out. He got too drunk and fell asleep." Next, Jun Hyong's mother kept pressing, asking where Eugene and Jun Hyong had gone. Eugene's face was covered in sweat. He stammered in reply, "Jun Hyong told me he was feeling really down, so we went to a small cabin near a mountain." After hearing this, Jun Hyong's mother didn't ask any more questions. She just reminded him that, when Jun Hyong wakes up, to have him call her back. Then, Jun Hyong's mother hung up. Eugene breathed a sigh of relief. He looked over at Jun Hyong, who was unconscious on the floor. Eugene clutched his head, still unsure how to resolve the situation. Eugene silently listened, putting his head close, to see if this guy, Jun Hyong, was still breathing or not. It's true, the guy was still alive. Good thing he didn't die, or he'd be totally screwed. Eugene thought to himself, but he couldn't wake this bastard up now. He'd just start thrashing around again. Maybe I should call an ambulance for him and then just get out of here. Suddenly, the dark side of Eugene emerged. A bold idea. Eugene considered just killing this Jun Hyong guy to get rid of the trouble. Fortunately, Eugene managed to come to his senses. If he did that, Eugene's life will be over along with this Jun Hyong guy. First things first, I should just tie this Jun Hyung guy up. As he was about to do it, the phone suddenly rang again. The caller was the gang of loan sharks he'd borrowed from that morning. As soon as he answered, a booming voice on the other end said, "Hello, Mr. Park Eugene. It seems you played us for a fool." Hearing this, Eugene's expression turned grim. At the same time, in some other room, the loan sharks had investigated and gathered enough information about Eugene, getting a clear picture. Eugene said he was the owner of a business, but with a quick investigation, they discovered Eugene was just a penniless bum. The boss angrily crumpled the information sheet in his hand. He angrily threatened, "Are you taking me for a joke? Hide well. We'll find you and beat you to a pulp." A look of fear was clear on Eugene's face. Before he could say anything, the other side hung up. Eugene trembled and collapsed to the floor. It really felt like life was playing a cruel joke on Eugene. He failed to kill someone, and he didn't have the guts to kill. In debt to loan sharks and being threatened by them. Somehow, things were even worse. Then when he had no money, Eugene felt like he was going crazy. He realized that, with or without money, he was still just a piece of trash not worth living. If that's the case, then just die and get it over with. Eugene stood up, intending to continue his unfinished business. But as he stood up, he glanced at the cryptocurrency value. The number that was just 1 billion a moment ago had now risen to a full 3 billion won. A wicked smile appeared. His face twisted into a distorted expression. Eugene no longer had any intention of committing suicide. Eugene's gaze once again fell upon Jun Hyung. It's unclear what he plans to do. After being unconscious for a while, Jun Hyung woke up once again. But this time, not only were Jun Hyung's hands tied, but his mouth and feet were also bound. He couldn't move at all anymore. Eugene had done this because he didn't want this guy to cause any more trouble. Holding a shard of the broken bottle in his hand, he threatened Jun Hyung. "Hey, Jun Hyung, listen carefully to what I have to say." Long story short, the price went up again. The amount is now 3 billion won. It's such a huge amount of money. So I really did consider just killing you to take all the money for myself. But I don't think I can do that. And this is the last negotiation that you dash. Gene is giving to this guy, Jun Hyung. I've already cleaned up this room. Eugene wants that. Tomorrow morning, when the hotel staff comes for checkout, Jun Hyung will make up some reason to tell them. Something like the two of them were just messing around. After everything is done, Jun Hyung just needs to contact Eugene, and he will transfer 1 billion won to Jun Hyung. And if you're wondering why Eugene gets 2 billion, while he only gets 1 billion, just 1 billion, to call it even, Eugene said bluntly. In truth, he didn't want to give a dog like Jun Hyung anything. He gave him that billion. He gave Jun Hyung the money only, because of what Eugene had done to him. Considered a fee for being tied up and beaten a few times. Having said that, ignoring Jun Hyung's reaction, Eugene turned his back and walked away. He had also found out earlier that a billionaire thought Loser coin looked hilarious, so he and a few other celebrities invested in it for fun, causing the price to skyrocket. This was even better. Eugene didn't care at all, because the only thing he cared about was the money. The enormous sum of money that changed his life overnight. He put on his jacket and was about to open the door to leave. But as soon as he cracked the door open, Eugene immediately ran into 2 security guards. Eugene was bewildered, not knowing who these 2 were or what they were doing here. It turns out they had received a noise complaint from the room next door, saying it sounded like a fight had broken out in his room. So they came here to verify whether that was true. Eugene froze on the spot. He awkwardly scratched his head and replied with a nervous laugh. "I just spilled some food on the floor. It's all cleaned up now." Before he could finish, a strange noise came from inside. It caught the attention of the 2 security guards. Their suspicion reached its peak. So one of the guards requested to check Eugene's room to prevent any unfortunate incidents. They pushed their way inside directly. Eugene tried to stop them, but to no avail, even though he told them they had no right to arbitrarily barge into a guest's room like that. It had no effect at all. When the 2 guards entered, they saw Jun Hyung lying on the ground, his hands and feet tied, and his mouth gagged. Without needing to hear any explanation from Eugene, the 2 security guards decided to call the police immediately to handle the situation. The look on Eugene's face at that moment seemed to say, "I'm so screwed." This time, he was really done for. Jun Hyung was tied up, writhing on the floor. Eugene was speechless, not knowing what to say. Before he could even explain, one of the guards grabbed his arms and pinned him to the ground, unable to move. Jun Hyung was being untied by the other guard, the kind man. even offered to call an ambulance to see if Jun Hyong was injured anywhere. But then, Jun Hyong did something completely unexpected. He shouted at the guards who had just rescued him. "You guys, what the hell are you doing in our room?" That sentence made both guards freeze on the spot, not knowing what to do, before they could recover from the shock. Jun Hyong spoke to Eugene in an incredibly sweet voice. "Honey, who are these people?" This time, even Eugene was stunned speechless for a full 5 seconds. Jun Hyong continued his performance. "Honey, I'm asking you, who are these people, and why are they in our room? Like this? My God, just barging into our room. This is absolutely unbearable." Eugene, still on the ground, had to force a smile at this performance by Jun Hyong. If his friend was going to put on a show like this, then Eugene decided to play along for the fun of it. He replied to Jun Hyong, "I don't know either, honey." And so, everything was resolved smoothly after that. Jun Hyong and Eugene playing the role of two lovers. The reason Jun Hyong was tied up was because the two of them were just playing a love game in the hotel room. And after leaving the hotel, Eugene, as previously agreed, told Jun Hyong that he transferred 1 billion won to him as promised. After receiving the money, Jun Hyong didn't say another word. He turned around and walked away quietly. Eugene did the same, walking in the opposite direction, and Eugene hoped they would never have to see each other again after everything that had just happened last night. But Jun Hyong probably didn't feel the same way. His expression showed no sign of submission at all. With everything settled, Eugene sat down wearily on a park bench. The biggest problem had been dealt with. Next, he would pay back the money he had borrowed from the loan sharks. If they found him, he'd be in for a world of hurt. Without further delay, Eugene took the initiative and called the loan sharks. The other end picked up immediately. Before Eugene could get to the point, the voice on the other end issued a threat. So it's you. We were just getting ready to pay you a visit soon. Here, what a coincidence that you called us first." They asked Eugene where he was. He wasn't stupid enough to give out his location. Eugene had no desire for a meeting between the two parties to take place at all. That's why he had prepared enough money to pay them back. The loan sharks were half believing, half doubting. They thought Eugene was just bluffing. How could a penniless bum like him get that kind of money? Eugene told them to check their bank account. Sure enough, the money had been deposited. They started to get a little curious. How did Eugene get this money? Eugene had no obligation to answer them, so he just made up an excuse that he had just reconsidered everything because he hadn't spent a single penny of their money. That's why he had the money to pay them back now. These guys took the opportunity to push their luck. They tried to demand more for interest and damages, even though he had only borrowed it yesterday. Eugene didn't have time to play these ridiculous blackmail games, so he immediately said goodbye, ignoring whatever else they were about to say on the other end. Eugene blocked their number just to be safe. Another problem solved. He let out a sigh of relief. The situation just now was really tense. In contrast to that, Lozer coin was still rising in price rapidly and showed no signs of stopping. To relieve stress, Eugene decided to spend a little money from his account. Eugene went to the most luxurious shopping district in the city. He bought himself a series of high-quality designer items. Now he looked no different from a genuine Chable CEO. And it's true that when you have money, the staff also treats you much better. He didn't just spend money on himself. Eugene also remembered his ex-girlfriend. He bought her an expensive designer bag, thinking he would make it up to her. ACN would love this expensive gift. But from the farewell last night until now, Eugene texted ACN, but she still hadn't bothered to reply. Unable to wait for his ex-girlfriend, Eugene went directly to ACN's house. He stood in front of her door with a very nervous heart, because after all, he was in a different position now, and he also knew that ACN was still very angry with him. That's why she didn't reply to his messages. But now that he was a man with money, he would make up for the pain that he had caused her. Eugene, from inside his jacket, took out the house key that ACN had given him. As soon as the door opened, the first thing that hit Eugene's eyes was a pair of shoes belonging to a strange man. Inside, moaning sounds could be heard continuously. The worst-case scenarios flashed through Eugene's mind, even though he tried to console himself that ACN was not that kind of person. She still loved him. Their love was the most beautiful love in the world. Eugene slowly stepped inside. He froze on the spot at the sight before him. A man was lying on top of ACN, and she was happily talking about Eugene. I told him that I was pregnant to get some money out of him before we broke up, And that fool believed it was true. He said he would kill himself. This is truly hilarious. The other guy, while thrusting, curiously asked Asian, didn't you date him for a while? Why did you even date a loser like that in the first place? Asian's answer broke Eugene's heart to the extreme. She dated him only because he was the best of a bad bunch. Eugene witnessed everything that just happened, even the scene of the two of them being intimate with each other. He clenched his fists in anger. His face was contorted with rage, veins popping as if he wanted to eat the cheating couple in front of him alive. Eugene was about to turn and leave without a word, but he couldn't stand it. She cheated on him and then badmouthed him and treated him like an ignorant fool. Eugene angrily threw the glass directly at the adulterous couple. Asian and the other guy looked towards Eugene. When she saw her ex-boyfriend, Asian was quite surprised by his presence. But Eugene was still so angry, he could barely breathe. He pointed his finger straight at her face and screamed, "Why? Out of all the people out there, why would you do this to me? I risked my life for you and endured all sorts of things just because I wanted to be with you. And you were sleeping with another guy this whole time?" Unable to control his frustration, Eugene cursed her to her face. "You're just a trashy whore." The other guy, hearing the words coming out of Eugene's mouth, felt they were too foul to bear. He raised his voice. "Are you crazy, man? You're the one who broke into her house. And now you're acting like you're the victim here?" Eugene snapped back at him. "Shut your mouth, man. How can I be calm when I see my woman sleeping with another man?" The other guy contemptuously repeated, "What woman is yours? Wake up, kid, or else no one can save you." The other guy stood up abruptly with his six-pack, tattooed body. It was obvious that Eugene was no match for him. He made his point clear. "Asian is my woman." Seeing that menacing physique, Eugene, who had been so loud just a moment ago, now started to feel scared. He thought to himself, he looks so big. I'm no match for him. The other guy stood face to face with Eugene, poking his head with his finger and laughing mockingly. Then he turned to ask Asian, "Didn't you say your ex-boyfriend was dirt poor? So, why is this guy wearing designer clothes from head to toe like this?" He saw the expensive handbag in Eugene's hand and immediately snatched it to take a look. This young man could tell at a glance that the bag was worth at least several million won. But Asian still couldn't believe it. She thought it was just a fake, a new arrival from Guangzhou. When the other guy heard Asian say it was a fake again, he mocked Eugene. "You're more pathetic than I imagined. Is this your plan? To win back Asian's heart with a fake designer bag?" Eugene was furious. He snatched the designer bag back from the other guy's hand and yelled, "Are you blind? This isn't a fake." As he snatched the bag back, he lost his balance and fell to the ground. The other guy, furious, swung his fist and gave him a beating. Eugene thought back on what had just happened, feeling indignant. He clutched his beloved cheek, his eyes welling up with tears. Thinking of Asian made him even more furious. He couldn't believe she could watch her ex-boyfriend get beaten up by another guy and not do a thing. Eugene thought to himself. He knew he wasn't perfect, but he had thought they truly loved and cared for each other. Looking at the beautiful picture they took together, his anger grew even stronger. So Eugene decided to delete all the photos. Along with that, he withdrew 500 million won in cash to let her know that today was the biggest mistake of her life. While chugging a beer, Eugene was determined to get revenge on that cheating couple. But before he could get his revenge, he got drunk and passed out without realizing it. Eugene woke up with a throbbing headache. He was about to get something to eat to ease his hunger. Then, someone started shouting loudly at his door, "Park, Eugene! Come out! We know you're in there." The young man was confused, not understanding what was happening. He thought it was the landlord demanding this month's rent. Eugene sighed as he walked towards the door. "I should probably find a better place to live next month." But as soon as he opened the door, the scene behind it made Eugene jump in surprise. A whole crowd of people with bright eyes were waiting for him to step outside. The two leaders were overjoyed to see Eugene. While they knew him quite well, he had no clue what was going on. Eugene, frightened, quickly slammed his door shut. Outside, they were still shouting loudly, demanding Eugene come out to talk. Feeling that something was very wrong, Eugene decided to call the police. Unbelievable. He had thousands of missed calls and messages on his phone. Their content all revolved around Eugene helping them invest in cryptocurrency, and also about him promising to give them money. So they came to his house to collect the debt. It was all because of a post on the internet. That post was going viral in the online community with the title, Eugene made a ton of money through crypto investment, and Eugene decided to disclose the amount he earned and promised everyone that he would share that money. Phone number and home address were also pinned in the comment section below. Eugene's face turned pale. He didn't even remember when he posted this. Scrolling down, there was even a confirming post. Very credible with the content. Park Eugene really sent me 1 billion won. I thought he was a scammer, but it's true. Eugene's face contorted. He knew it right away. The one who played this trick on him could only be that guy, Jun Hyung. He couldn't win, so he was being a sore loser and trying to ruin things. Eugene gritted his teeth, grinding them at the dirty trick played by his once close friend. The people outside were running out of patience. They were still shouting and banging on the door, demanding Eugene open it. In this world, the rich don't try to hide the fact that they have a lot of money. Instead, they flaunt their wealth every chance they get. They flex cars worth hundreds of millions, limited edition watches. On the contrary, those who get lucky in an instant, after 6:30, they're like thieves, always looking over their shoulders, hiding the fact that they now have a lot of money. Because people always think, you used to be a poor wretch just like us. As fellow poor people, we should help each other out, and then they all start stalking that person's money like hungry animals. Especially for those who make a living with cryptocurrency. Eugene truly realized the seriousness of the situation. This time, he didn't know what to do with so many people outside. They were all cursing Eugene with the reasoning that that money isn't something you worked hard to earn. Therefore, share it equally with everyone. And they were also the ones who contributed to the success in making money from cryptocurrency. Eugene, out of options, decided to call that guy Jun Hyung to see what's up. But of course, that idiot Jun Hyung wasn't stupid enough to pick up his call. This is so infuriating. It's clear that he himself played very fairly. He had transferred a whole billion won to that bastard, and now he had to end up in a situation like this. Now, the only way is to call the police. Only then can the immediate problem be solved. But before he could pick up the phone to call, Eugene realized his front door was about to be broken down. This time, he was really and truly done for. Eugene opened his door a crack, stuck his head out, and tried to calm everyone down. Everyone, wait a minute. Everyone, calm down. Eugene started to explain to everyone. Actually, I'm not the one who posted that online. Someone impersonated me and posted it. I'm just a broke guy, just like everyone else. That 1 billion won transfer bill was just Photoshop. But at that moment, no one would believe his words. The crowd was still in an uproar, saying, if you can't give us the money, then at least you have to tell us which cryptocurrency you invested in. Some are even more agitated, wanted to rush in and rob Eugene right there. It's a waste of time and energy to talk too much. Eugene realized that even if he kept talking, it would be useless, because this crowd was like a bunch of people who had lost their minds. They were about to break down the door to find money inside. Out of options, Eugene had to shout loudly, I'll call the police if you don't stop. Go home, all of you, thinking it would change something. But look, did anyone really care about the police? Eugene realized that was probably his biggest mistake he made that day. He naively thought that they would leave when they heard him threaten to call the police. However, these guys were members of an online cryptocurrency community, a place where the dregs of society gathered. It was a place full of greedy and lazy people who want to have without working. The idiots go and invest in crypto. The more VIP ones go and scam people to make money. These guys came here without knowing that the online post could just be another scam post. Desperate people with no way out are not afraid of anything. They even dared him. Eugene, call the police right here, right now. They didn't give a damn. No matter what, everyone here could not miss this opportunity to change their lives. Even if they got arrested or went to jail, it didn't matter. If they got arrested, they could get acquitted by using the money they made today to hire the best lawyer. Eugene, scared, had to slam his door shut again. With a loud crack, his door was broken. Eugene's face turned pale. In just a few more minutes, he would have to face the crazy people behind that door. If he got caught, his life would be totally over. The crowd finally broke down his door. The whole crowd rushed into the house. But when they ran into the room, Eugene was nowhere to be found. Eugene was at that moment trying to cling to the outside of the window. His strength was limited. His arms started to tremble. Looking down from the second floor, it was much higher than he thought. Eugene saw two young men standing nearby, smoking. Eugene quickly asked for their help. That call also revealed Eugene's location. There was no other way. Eugene decided to gamble with his fate. He counted to 3 and let go of his hand. Luckily, the two young men came in time to catch Eugene. Having escaped death, as Eugene let out a heavy sigh. He was extremely grateful to the two young men and asked, "I don't know what I can do to repay you for saving my life." However, the answer left Eugene stunned for a few seconds. These two were also part of the crypto community. These two, seeing that it was too crowded, didn't want to get into the scramble. They waited down here for Eugene to escape so they could catch him. They wanted Eugene to cough up all the money he had earned. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. Eugene had no strength to resist these two tall guys. He was quickly overpowered. These two dragged him to a deserted alley to have a chat. No, that place was too crowded to get anything done. But as soon as they stepped into the alley, they ran into someone smoking, with a very defiant look on his face. The guy in a blue shirt was a bit startled. He warned the person in front of him, "You're in my way. Get lost and play somewhere else, kid." But the person opposite him said nothing, nor did he move. This really annoyed him. He started with the usual tricks of young punks, bumping shoulders and asking, "Do you know who you're messing with?" But when their shoulders collided, the guy was hit so hard he fell to the ground in pain, clutching his shoulder. Suddenly, the other person spoke up, asking Eugene, "Looks like you're in trouble. Want me to help you out?" Eugene hesitated a bit, glancing at the guy in the brown shirt who had his hand on his shoulder. Then, he reluctantly nodded his head, indicating he wanted help. Seeing this, the other guy gritted his teeth in anger. In this world, nobody gives you anything for free. The young man snapped his fingers and stated his price. Eugene would have to pay him 50,000 won for each guy. In return, Eugene would leave here safely, without a single hair on his head being touched. This guy also mentioned the post that Eugene had put up online. At first, Eugene thought he was also part of the crypto community. But in this situation, what other choice did he have? Eugene accepted the price the other guy offered. He elbowed the guy hard in the chest and ran quickly towards the young man. And now, it was a 1-on-2 fight with the crypto guys, warning the damn bastard, "Do you know who you're messing with, huh?" The young man didn't seem to hear those words. He stretched his shoulders. A quick warm-up, then rushed towards the 250,000 won bills in front of him. Before Eugene's astonished eyes, the young man took one guy down with a single punch. The other guy fell unconscious to the ground. The cool guy smoothed his hair and said, "Such a good boy. Keep it up like that. So I can just throw one punch, take down one guy, and pocket 50,000 won." His friend, seeing his partner get knocked out like that, couldn't stand still and rushed forward. The script was no different from before. With just one punch, the other guy was knocked out. Eugene stood to the side, wondering, "I don't get it. Where did such a badass big bro come from in this neighborhood?" Eugene, feeling a bit tired, sat down on the ground. The guy walked over, held out his hand, and asked if he was okay. Eugene glanced at the guy and sized him up again. "He's seriously strong. Took care of that crew in the blink of an eye." Eugene was slowly pulled to his feet. "I thought he was a good guy, but turns out he only does things for his own benefit." The guy directly told Eugene to pay him the 100,000 won as promised. Eugene wasn't want to go back on his word. He immediately transferred the money to the big bro. Upon receiving the money, the guy was overjoyed, because this was 100,000 won, the easiest money he'd ever made in his life. After escaping the two thugs, Eugene was about to leave, but the other guy gently reminded him, "Hey, wait a minute. Are you sure you want to leave?" Eugene, puzzled, turned back and asked, "What now? I already paid you the 100,000 won, so I have nothing more to say to you." Actually, it wasn't about talking to the young man, because right in front of Eugene now were a lot of people who wanted to have a heart-to-heart with him. The crowd had finally found Eugene. At that moment, his face turned pale. He looked terrified of his enemies. Eugene quickly ran behind the young man. He started begging, "Can you take care of them too?" The young man agreed without hesitation. As long as there was money, he'd take on any number of guys from the crowd. A young man in red suddenly stepped forward to negotiate. "Hey, young man, you must have seen the post that this scumbag posted online. And you're chasing him just like us, right? So why don't we, the poor people, team up together? You saw what he promised us on there too, right? So we'll take his money and split it evenly among everyone here." Hearing those words, Eugene felt a pang of fear and silently cursed them. In his heart, he was also afraid that the young man in front of him would be swayed by their words. But the other guy couldn't care less. He thought what the online crypto mob just said was complete bullshit. I already know teacher Juan's philosophy by heart. If you want to eat without working, you'll only get to eat your own knee. You should work hard to earn money like me. After saying that, the young man patted Eugene on the shoulder and asked again, just to be sure it's still 50,001 for each guy, right? Eugene immediately agreed. The entire online crypto community, hearing the guy's harsh words, started to get pissed off. In contrast, the other guy's eyes lit up, his face beaming with joy, because now all he saw in front of him were walking 50,001 bills. To kick off the battle, a young man in orange stepped forward to challenge him. But before he could do anything, he took a punch right in the face. The fight was over. The young man turned back to remind Eugene, hurry and run to a safe place. You're just getting in my way here. Before Eugene left, the guy also reminded Eugene, don't even think about running off to skip out on the bill. I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth. Eugene left, to everyone's dismay. They all rushed forward, but were blocked by the young man. Eugene ran for his life, silently complaining, this life really is shit. Even with money, the world still corners me, so I can't breathe. After a while, being too tired, Eugene decided to stop at a park. Eugene still didn't understand how he ended up like this. He started getting paranoid, so much so that he felt like everyone was watching him. He looked up at the sky and sighed. This is such a mess, and I don't know where to even start solving it. Suddenly, the phone next to him vibrated. Someone was calling Eugene. He was sure it was that bastard Jun Hyong, calling to mock him. But when he picked up the phone, it was a name Eugene didn't want to see again. It was A. John. Eugene was a bit annoyed, but still answered to see what was up. As soon as he picked up, the voice on the other end was A. John's new boyfriend. He laughed gloatingly. I can't believe you actually picked up. You really are a freeloader, huh? Eugene didn't answer the phone to argue. What do you want? Just say it. Unbelievably, the guy was holding A. John in his arms while demanding money from Eugene. He wanted him to pay back the money he owed A. John. What money? A. John's rent. Eugene looked bewildered, not understanding why he had to pay A. John's rent. The other guy continued. You idiot. You slept at her place so many times. So you owe rent for the nights you slept at her place. You cling to women like a parasite. That's why A. John dumped you. A series of harsh words were spoken. Although A. John tried to stop him, he continued to insult Eugene relentlessly. On this end of the line, Eugene could still hear the words A. John was saying. His nerves are so weak. He might try to kill himself again. Hearing his girlfriend say that, the other guy hung up the phone immediately, leaving Eugene speechless on the other end. He looked up at the sky and sighed again. Then, he let out all his frustration in a loud scream. To hell with all you bastards. Why the fuck do you all have to insult me like this? Passers-by heard the piercing scream, and everyone turned to look at him. Eugene slowly calmed down. It was only at this moment that he realized he had been robbed his entire life. A poor fate had robbed him of the opportunity to live like other normal people. His parents robbed him of the trust he had placed in his family members. Military service robbed him of his precious time and health. Most of all, this world constantly pushed him to the edge, only to then rob him of his life. Eugene had thought that finally, for the first time in his life, he had also received something. But no, even that lottery was now about to be robbed from him. Eugene covered his face and lamented. If that 50,001 guy hadn't stepped in to help, those thugs would have probably cleaned out his last few coins, and nothing would be left. Speaking of which, he looked like one of those fools desperate for money. Eugene still didn't understand why that guy helped him. Or maybe he was pretending to be on my side, and will stab me in the back later? While he was lost in thought, the young man had appeared behind Eugene at some point. He reminded Eugene, you ran pretty far. Were you planning to ditch me? Eugene jumped, startled. Well then, let's get down to business. He showed Eugene his phone, filled with his achievements. Inside was a collection of photos he had just taken. It was proof that he had completed the assigned mission. Now it was time to sit down, count the number, and hand over the money. Suddenly, Eugene had an idea. He turned and said to the other guy, could you help me with one? No, two more things? And of course, as long as there's money, any job can be done. At the apartment, A. John's boyfriend opened the door. He looked at Eugene contemptuously. You pathetic loser. I can't believe you had the guts to show up here. This time, Eugene wasn't angry. He just smiled a rather dirty smile. The other guy had no idea what trick Eugene was about to pull. It turns out the young man had been hiding by the door, the whole time, and Ajon and her lover had no idea. And then, bam, the guy took a full punch straight to the face. The punch was so powerful that it sent him sprawling onto the floor, helpless and in pain. His teeth and gums were all mixed up. He clutched his mouth, bewildered, having no idea who the guy in front of him was. It turns out that earlier, the job Eugene had asked him to do was to teach this couple a lesson, with double the bonus. Each person would be paid 100,000 won, a 2-for-1 deal. The young man had also been wanting to beat up cheaters like them for a long time. The young man rushed forward, sat right on top of the guy, and didn't miss a single punch. The other guy could only cover his head and take the beating. Eugene, standing behind, felt incredibly satisfied watching this. It had been a long time since he felt this happy. Back to an hour ago, Eugene had asked the guy what he used to do for a living. Because you can fight so well on your own. He answered with a proud look on his face. I used to be a bodyguard, also one of the best in the business. Eugene continued to wonder, not understanding why a bodyguard was now wandering around here. It's a long story. On one fine day, the guy suddenly became interested in cryptocurrency, and he invested everything he had in it. And then he was always engrossed in those crypto charts. Even during work, his manager was always nagging him. So, in a moment of impatience, he punched the guy's lights out. The result was getting fired right after that. Eugene had a blank look on his face, not expecting the big bro in front of him to have such a wild past. The guy lamented with a helpless expression. Since then, no security service company would hire me, and all the money I invested in crypto also vanished. Then one day, while unemployed at home, scrolling online, he saw Eugene's post. He saw that all of his personal information had been made public. At that moment, he realized this was his chance to make money. Eugene heard the whole story. When he found out the guy in front of him was a bodyguard, he offered to hire him as his personal bodyguard with a generous salary of 3 million won a month. The guy hesitated a little, then made another proposal. A base salary of 3 million, plus a bonus for each completed mission. Before Eugene could agree, the guy grabbed the hand of Eugene to seal this lucrative deal. The guy introduced himself as Choi Gangmok. To make this relationship work, Gangmok would become an older brother, protecting his little brother. Eugene suddenly got himself a top-tier bodyguard. He might be bad at other things, but when it comes to fighting, perhaps no one could beat him. After dealing with Ajon's boyfriend, it was her turn next. Ajon sat back, terrified. Gangmok raised his hand, about to deal with her, but Eugene stopped him. Gangmok looked back at Eugene, a bit surprised. It turned out the young man wanted to deal with his ex-girlfriend himself. As for the bonus, he would still pay Gangmok as usual. Gangmok turned to leave. Before he left, he advised, "You better not lose." Eugene slowly approached Ajon. His fierce, angry expression was clear. Eugene asked Ajon, "When did you start cheating on me?" "I tried to take responsibility when I heard you were pregnant, and even provided you with money before I was going to kill myself." Faced with a barrage of questions from Eugene, Ajon remained silent, not daring to say anything. After a while, Ajon finally hesitated and said, "Maybe about 2 months ago." His anger intensified. So Eugene had been cheated on for the past 2 months. He lost both love and money. Ajon had given Eugene's money to that asshole, lying unconscious on the floor. Eugene couldn't control himself and rushed in, about to punch Ajon. But in the end, he only grabbed her by the collar. In that moment, memories of the two of them flashed through Eugene's mind. He remembered those beautiful moments and couldn't bring himself to do it. His hand trembled, his teeth clenched in anger. In the end, he let go of Ajon's collar. Eugene's face was downcast, silent, and saying nothing. Gangmok, seeing this, urged him, "Hey, Eugene, are you going to hit her or not?" Eugene, trembling all over, replied, "I can't do it, because deep down, I really love her." After saying that, the weak young man burst into tears again. Gangmok didn't know what to do, so he just patted his head comfortingly and invited Eugene for a drink to drown his sorrows. The two of them left, leaving Ajon and her unconscious boyfriend behind. Sitting in the bar, Eugene began to confide in Gangmok. "When I was working at a sandwich shop in this neighborhood, I really thought we were made for each other." As soon as he mentioned the old memories, Eugene started sniffing again, unable to hold back his tears. Seeing Eugene so weak, Gangmok advised the young man, "Just forget about that gold-digging bitch. Everything you got was just a lie, and now's not the time to sit here and mope. The most worrying thing right now is that the world out there is full of bastards who are after your money. You can't waste time thinking about her forever. Gangmok continued to remind Eugene. Start by staying away from your tiny little room. You can stay at my place so I can protect you better. Until things calm down. Eugene replied dejectedly with a single okay. Gangmok, seeing this, slapped Eugene's back so hard it stung. Then he said loudly, "Cheer up, my friend. Time heals all wounds. No one dies from being without someone." Eugene fell silent, thinking to himself, he's right. I need to be careful. If I lose this game, I'm done for. And the root of all the trouble today is all because of that dog, Jun Hyong. He had to find that guy quickly. Otherwise, there's no telling what trick he'll pull next to mess with him. Eugene downed a glass of liquor in his hand. He was determined to get revenge on that guy by any means necessary. Suddenly, a girl's voice was heard from behind them. "Hello. If you're not busy, would you like to join us for a drink?" Two beautiful young women appeared, leaving Eugene frozen. He stared at them with wide eyes. The two young women started talking, asking about their age and about their relationship status, like if they had girlfriends. But the attention was not divided equally between the two. It was all focused on Gangmok. Eugene was completely ignored by the two girls. Seeing this, he silently cursed life. It's so unfair. Some guys have all the luck, while others have none. Meanwhile, Gangmok was exchanging flirtatious glances with both girls. And with just a few pickup lines, he had already been asked out on a date by the two girls. Eugene, on the other hand, saw Gangmok getting praised and all. He can handle strong liquor. Eugene's big ego kicked in. He ordered the strongest, most expensive liquor to drink. Without another word, he chugged the entire glass of 42.9 proof liquor in one gulp. Then he tried to look cool in the eyes of the other three, who had no idea what was going on. He even thought to himself, "I'm a heavy drinker too, you know." Gangmok, seeing this, laughed awkwardly, and the two girls looked like they had no idea what the hell Eugene was doing. 5 minutes later, Eugene was passed out on the table, while the other three were still talking happily. The two girls started asking about his family background. Gangmok must be very rich because that kind of whiskey is very expensive. But Gangmok's answer surprised them both. "Actually, I'm quite poor." Hearing that, one of the girls next to him looked skeptical. "Come on, what poor person gets to drink such fine whiskey like that?" Gangmok smiled. "I didn't buy it. My boss did." The other girl was very curious. She turned to look at him and asked again, "Your boss? Where is he?" She looked towards the waiter and complained, "Sir, you gave him a drink, but not us." "Boss?" Gangmok shook his head. "No, he is not my boss." Gangmok's gaze shifted to Eugene. He pointed at him. "This is my boss." Eugene was still completely drunk and had no idea what was going on. Gangmok's statement left the two women dumbfounded. They were speechless. They both laughed awkwardly, remembering how they had completely dismissed Eugene earlier, and they had blatantly ignored him, too. Then they started acting all cute, apologizing to Eugene for what had just happened. Eugene forgave them because he's the most generous guy in the world. I mean, he even forgave his girlfriend for cheating on him. The four of them sat down at the table. The girl in the white dress admitted that when she first saw Eugene, she thought he was a guy without a penny to his name. Hearing this, Eugene could only laugh awkwardly, but in his head, he was cursing her out, thinking what a bitch. The girl in the black dress tried to cover for a friend. It's probably because of the way Eugene dresses that gave that impression. They even thought he was some kind of rich chairman pretending to be poor. And the outcome? Eugene scratched his face. He didn't deny it either. "Whatever you guys think, just go with that." The girl in the white dress, slightly annoyed, criticized Eugene. "No matter what we say, all you do is smile. Girls don't like guys who are so bland and predictable. If I were your girlfriend, I'd probably die from boredom." She looked down on Eugene and said, "I'm pretty sure you've never had a girlfriend. Am I right?" As if hitting a nerve. He jumped up. "I've had one, okay." But she still didn't believe him. "Oh, stop lying. You've probably never dated a girl in your life." The girl in the black dress added, "If you're thinking about your crush from elementary school, that doesn't count as a first love because you were too young to understand what love is." Hearing such heartbreaking words right after being cheated on, Eugene started to lose control of his emotions. He spoke up angrily. "What the hell do you know about my life? What the hell? Do you know about whether I've been in love or not, huh?" Beside him, Gangmok found it so funny that he spat out the mouthful of alcohol in his mouth. Seeing the situation getting tense, the two girls tried to make peace. "Calm down, we were just joking." Eugene stood up and slammed the table. Joking? What the fuck kind of joke is that? Is that something to joke about? So you think I'm a joke to you? You think I'm poor because of the way I dress, huh? Then why do you guys dress like that? When you're poor yourselves? The two girls exchanged confused glances. Neither of them knew the reason. Why Eugene had suddenly gotten so furious. But he wasn't finished. Eugene went into a full-on rant. And what else? If I were your girlfriend, I'd die of boredom, huh? That's the reason she cheated on me. But damn it, is that my fault too? Tell me, is it my fault? After hearing that, everyone fell silent. Only Gangmok was trying his best not to burst out laughing. The two of them left the bar after that. Eugene sat slumped against the wall outside, looking miserable. Gangmok was still amused by what Eugene had just gone through. He felt that what Eugene did was pretty good, because those girls were just trying to mooch free drinks. There was nothing good about them. Those two even invited Gangmok to hang out with them, leaving Eugene all alone. But Gangmok chose to stay by Eugene's side, because who knows, if Eugene got grabbed by some thugs while wandering around alone, then who would be the one to pay his salary? Eugene started to look dejected again. He held his head and lamented, "Fuck this life. My girlfriend cheated on me. Other girls look down on me. All of this bullshit happens, and in the end, it's all because I don't have money." Gangmok stood to one side, listening to everything. He reminded Eugene, "You're a man with money now. As long as you know how to spend it right, no one will dare to look down on you." He held out his hand to help Eugene up. "Your big bro Gangmok will show you, little bro Eugene, how to spend money the right way." After that, Gangmok took Eugene to a car dealership. There are all kinds of cars here. The first thing to do to show off is to invest in a fancy car for yourself. Even if Eugene doesn't have a license, it's fine. Gangmok will be both a bodyguard and a driver for Eugene. If you want to go anywhere, Eugene just needs to hand over his credit card so he can pay for the car. Eugene started to look a little dazed. Elsewhere, you could tell it's a place where gangsters operate. When he saw the man in the black suit enter, the man in the white shirt immediately sat up and greeted him. "Welcome back, boss. How was your trip, boss?" He shook his head slightly, lit a cigarette, and said, "It was boring. Don't even mention it. By the way, has anything happened lately? Give me a report." The other guy scratched his head and then pointed towards a man sitting at the table. "Well, actually, there's this punk who keeps asking us to get his money back for him." After hearing this, the boss turned to get some water. He said, "Dear customer, we lend money here. We don't do that kind of cheap service. The exit is over there. Get out now while you can still walk on your own." Suddenly, the guy mentioned Eugene, which made the boss jump involuntarily. The boss, with an angry expression, warned the man in front of him, "What the fuck? Who the hell are you, popping up out of nowhere? And you have the nerve to ask about one of our clients?" Before the boss could finish, the client interrupted him. 300 million won. I'll pay you 300 million won if you agree to help me get my money back from that bastard." As expected, the one who wanted to harm Eugene was that guy, Jun Hyong. Hearing such a large sum of money, the boss's resolve began to waver. He gave a frightening smile. He agreed and wanted Jun Hyong to tell him Eugene's story from the beginning. Meanwhile, Eugene and Gangmok had just bought a brand new, top-of-the-line car. While Gangmok was overjoyed to be driving such a beautiful car, Eugene looked sad and didn't want to say anything. Gangmok noticed that his boss didn't seem very happy. He shouted, "Damn it, what's with that look on your face? Don't be such a buzzkill." Gangmok made Eugene repeat after him, "Let's go transform into a Chable's son." The two went to the biggest shopping mall in the city. The transformation journey began just by changing a few outfits. Eugene already looked completely different from before, and when the makeover was complete, it was time to get revenge for the grudge from the bar last night. Gangmok taught Eugene a few tricks. If anyone asks about your job, just confidently say, "You're a data analyst." Eugene's awkward expression was obvious. Seeing this, Gangmok patted his shoulder. Well, maybe that's not a good career choice. Just say you work in stocks." Gangmok scratched his chin and muttered to himself, "On second thought, the data analyst job sounds way cooler, doesn't it?" Inside the bar, as soon as they sat down at a table, some hot young girls came over to talk to them. "Hey, you guys, do you want to go out and play with us?" In that atmosphere, with the thumping music and with beautiful girls around, but Eugene still felt an inexplicable emptiness inside, even after spending so much money. He had withdrawn over 500 million and spent quite a bit already. This amount of money was enough for him to live comfortably for the rest of his life. Besides, the value of loser coin was still increasing every day. This meant that he was getting richer and richer. Yet, Eugene still didn't understand why he felt so sad. He felt no excitement at all. Leaving the bar, it was time for Eugene to go puke his guts out. Even Gang Mock had to exclaim, "You drank way too much, you know. You know you have a low tolerance, so why are you chugging booze like it's water?" Because he was so drunk and had no energy left, Eugene slumped to the ground. Seeing this, Gang Mock had a kind thought. He would buy his childish boss a hangover cure. Otherwise, things wouldn't be good. Sitting in a corner watching the bustling crowd pass by, he felt unbelievably lonely. He glanced to his left. A couple was being all lovey-dovey for everyone around to see. Eugene felt a pang of sadness. Watching the couple's romantic actions, Eugene was reminded of Ayun. Eugene didn't want to live in nostalgia, so he looked to his right. Surprisingly, a pair of best friends were inviting each other to play video games. They were splitting their meager thousands of won. That reminded him of his friend, Jun Hyun. A sad expression appeared on his face as he watched the people passing by. He then saw a mother and child holding hands. It made him remember the mother who had abandoned him years ago. Eugene bit his lip tightly to hold back his overflowing emotions. Just then, Gang Mock returned and saw Eugene like this. He asked him, "Are you okay? I bought you a hangover cure." Gang Mock kept asking, but Eugene remained silent and didn't answer. Suddenly, Eugene sighed. "Back then, I really thought that having a lot of money would make me happy. But the truth is, it's not like that. Wealth can't erase the painful memories that I've experienced in the past. And that past, full of such things, has made me who I am today." Eugene felt that he wasn't happy at all. Even after spending a lot of money, eating a lot of delicious food, going to buy clothes, going to places that Gang Mock said were fun. But in the end, Eugene only felt like he was being abandoned by everyone he knew, leaving him alone in this strange place. And Eugene also admitted to himself that he wasn't talented at all. He was just a lucky guy who accidentally made money from cryptocurrency. He was no better or worse than anyone else. Gang Mock slowly sat down and patted Eugene's shoulder comfortingly, just when you thought it was a heartfelt moment. It turns out Gang Mock was warning Eugene, "Don't ever talk to me like we're friends. You need to respect your elders. Otherwise, this shoulder of yours won't stay intact." Gang Mock also thought Eugene's words were quite right. Maybe wearing ridiculously expensive clothes and drinking expensive wine not meant for the poor meant that they weren't suited for that kind of lifestyle. They needed to do things they were used to find true happiness. Not like now, using money to buy happiness. After making a decision, Gang Mock took Eugene to a cheap karaoke place. The two of them were shouting and having a great time. More fun than being in a bar with loud, thumping music. The two bought 700 songs, even though they knew they would never sing them all. Next up was the arcade. Gang Mock and Eugene played games together, just like back in the day when Eugene and Jun Hyung were closer than friends. No matter what you say, Jun Hyung was Eugene's only friend. But now, the two are mortal enemies. Now, the only person by his side is Gang Mock. Eugene couldn't admit that after knowing each other for just a few days, he had become his closest friend. But he felt that the two had closed the distance and were much more comfortable with each other. Suddenly, Eugene's phone next to him vibrated. He thought it was a call from someone, but no. It was a notification from Loser Coin. That coin's price was plummeting drastically. The value had dropped by more than 58%. In a moment, he was busy searching for happiness. Eugene had forgotten about this thing called cryptocurrency. Everything that came to him, even a guy sitting next to him, only came because of money. And if Loser Coin kept dropping, he would be broke. At that point, there would be no one by his side to protect him. His worried expression was clear. Eugene thought that if he didn't have enough money to pay his salary, he would probably get beaten to a pulp. Gang Mock just quietly watched Eugene's dazed expression. He didn't understand what Eugene was thinking or doing. While the team was still losing, Eugene didn't seem to care at all. Ignoring Gang Mock's words, Eugene had a million thoughts running through his head. Eugene decided to keep this matter a secret from Gang Mock. But nothing escapes the eyes of Gang Mock. Seeing the obvious worry, Gang Mock had guessed that there was a problem with the cryptocurrency. His gaze seemed to see right through him, making it impossible for Eugene to hide anything. Although a bit startled by what Gang Mock said, Eugene still tried to make an excuse. "It's not that. It's a message from my friend. with just a simple lie. How could he get past Gang Mok's sharp eyes? He didn't believe it all. Basically, Eugene didn't have any friends. Eugene angrily denied what Gang Mok had just said. Then, Eugene turned and left to take care of some personal business. But Gang Mok was still relentlessly suspicious. As he watched Eugene go, sitting in the bathroom, Eugene's face darkened. Just a moment ago, it had only dropped by over 58%. But now, Eugene's total assets were almost hitting rock bottom with a loss of 68%. Eugene was scared because he didn't understand why the cryptocurrency kept dropping like this. To find more information, he searched for posts online to see what the crypto community was saying. The result was thousands of posts cursing this loser coin. Among the investors in this coin, some lost half their assets, while others were completely wiped out. No one was making a profit from it. Eugene was furious with these morons on the internet. Instead of analyzing why it was dropping together, these guys just sat around and complained online. The more this happened, the more anxious Eugene became, not knowing what to do. Should he withdraw all his money before it's too late? In Eugene's mind right now, there were only two streams of thought. He didn't know whether to retreat or to stubbornly wait for the cryptocurrency to rise again. After hesitating for a while, Eugene decided to sell. As his finger was about to press sell, out of nowhere, Gang Mok appeared, making Eugene jump in surprise. Seeing this, Gang Mok told Eugene to come outside to talk. Eugene's expression at that moment was basically, what the fing hell is this? Once outside, Gang Mok didn't beat around the bush and got straight to the point. Tell me the truth. How much money have you lost from that crypto stuff? Faced with that question, Eugene hesitated, not daring to answer. He thought to himself, I'm screwed. If he told the truth, he would probably turn his back on him. But the truth was the opposite of what Eugene was thinking. Gang Mok yawned and then said, forget what I just asked. A crypto expert like you always knows how to invest in other profitable ventures. Even if you lose money somewhere, you have experience. I, on the other hand, do not. Hearing those words from Gang Mok, Eugene was stunned, not knowing what to say. It was truly a stroke of luck. Eugene had just escaped a disaster, but also made sense. From the very beginning, Gang Mok didn't even know which cryptocurrency Eugene had invested in. But now, Eugene was 100% certain of one thing. Gang Mok was just a bodyguard, nothing more, nothing less. If he didn't have money, he wouldn't hesitate to abandon him in the middle of the street at all. Eugene also realized that he shouldn't get too close and treat him like his brother. Otherwise, he would just end up with a very bitter result. After finishing his cigarette, Gang Mok told Eugene to go home together. But Eugene hesitated a bit. He wanted to spend the night at a nearby motel. Gang Mok raised his voice. Please, how many more times do I have to tell you? You have to stay near me if you don't want to get into trouble. Eugene just scratched his head. Tonight, I just want to be alone. I'll find a motel near your place and call you if anything happens. So, don't worry too much. Gang Mok thought that was acceptable. But before that, he demanded that Eugene transfer him $3 million in advance. It was a deposit, just in case. Eugene tried to skip out on the payment and flee to Cambodia. It would be impossible to find him. Eugene was a little dissatisfied because he knew for sure that Gang Mok was just extorting money from him. What kind of damn deposit was this? Gang Mok would just swallow that money whole. There was no way he would pay him back when he quit his job. Seeing Eugene hesitate, Gang Mok urged him on. If you don't want to, then you have to come stay at my place. Although angry, Eugene had no other choice and had to accept. As he walked down the street, he was again lost in his own thoughts. Gang Mok seemed like a good guy, but he was no different from the other people who leached money off of him. After all the money he had spent to try to have fun together, he had been caught up in a whirlwind of spending and paying for everything he wanted to buy. The only reason Eugene didn't say anything was because he also bought things for himself. Thinking it over, Eugene realized that Gang Mok was even worse than that bunch in the crypto community. But whatever. What Eugene cared more about right now was the downward chart of loser coin. He didn't know how low it would bottom out, and should he let it drop further? Or should he withdraw his money and live comfortably for the rest of his life? Lost in thought while walking, Eugene didn't notice a car appearing right behind him. From inside the car, a few masked men appeared and grabbed Eugene. He still didn't understand what was happening. When he tried to resist, he was immediately beaten and thrown into the car. The leader even took out a hammer to threaten him. telling Eugene that if he resisted or screamed, then the next hammer blow wouldn't just be hitting empty air. Instead, the address it would be sent to would be his head. Although restrained, Eugene still observed his surroundings. He realized that these guys were not the phony thugs he met this morning. They were all real gangsters. Again, questions flooded his mind. Eugene still didn't understand why he was being kidnapped. Could it be that these gangsters also play with cryptocurrency? Before he could finish his thought, the answer was revealed. The mastermind behind this was that guy, Jun Hyung. He had been sitting in the back seat waiting for Eugene all along. Jun Hyung laughed excitedly. He sent some greetings to his best friend, since they hadn't seen each other for a few days. He wondered if Eugene was doing well with that huge amount of money. Seeing Jun Hyung's face, Eugene became furious, veins popping on his face. Jun Hyung made his intentions clear. He was here to get all of his money back. He didn't want to harm Eugene at all.